Welcome to Turks and Jerks, NFL Week 7 in the books. It was capped off with a Sunday night football game that truly was spectacular and everything except enjoyable watching football. Pacheski, I'm going to start off by reading from Deadspin because I think he summed up this in a great sentence. Here's how he explained the Cardinals versus the Seahawks yesterday. Special teams incompetence, an Arizona offense that couldn't do anything against a gassed Seahawks defense, which was on the field for a comical 46 minutes and 21 seconds because Seattle's offense was even worse. And punts, 15 punts! More punts than points. 15 punts.
And right, with a whole extra quarter. More punts than points in 5 quarters.
In 5 quarters
Five
of football.
full quarters.
We're going to start with Turks because somehow this game falls into the Turks category.
Let me just start with, I'm not going to, I don't want, my Turk is from this game.
As mine is too, but please go.
I think I have the worst gambling story ever. First of all, I lost 6 straight games yesterday, and in an effort to make it whole, I bet the 7th. The Cardinals, at the time I bet it, were 1.5-point favorites. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get screwed on this by a 1-point win. So I look at the money line, where the Cardinals just have to win, right? It's minus 135. But if I buy a point from 1.5 to a half, it's only 130. And I made a pretty big bet, but I thought, I'm saving like $25 here, and I literally say out loud, they're not going to tie. So I believe I'm the first person in the history of gambling to take a 1.5-point spread, bet it down to a 0.5 point, Cardinals minus a half, and lose because the game tied. I don't think it can be done. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I thought, they're not going to tie. and I was patting myself on the back for saving the money.
Was it 5 minutes into the third quarter where you're like, maybe this will be a tie?
No.
A minute left in the
of course not.
8 minutes in the overtime?
No, I thought the entire time that the Cardinals would win that game because the Seahawks could not move the ball. When the brief moment of panic when the Seahawks were driving for the tying field goal, and I thought, oh wow, maybe they're going to score here and win this game 10-6. But if the Cardinals lose the game, I'm not going to beat myself up over the bet. Then I was just wrong, and it's no big deal. But the Cardinals were dominating that game, and you just felt like they were going to win. And then obviously when J.J. Nelson breaks free and gets down inside the 5, you're like, okay, well, the game's over. I've now won the bet. They'll win at 9-6. I had to sweat it a little bit. Doesn't matter. I made that half point. I made that point buy. Doesn't matter. I win. I get it all back. Makes no difference.
Right.
Irrelevant. Nope. No. So I didn't realize it was until he hit the crossbar. And then I guess when they completed that 3rd and 4 pass to Curse, which meant the Cardinals were never going to get the ball back.
Right.
I didn't even watch after that. I mean, so I literally had to. I saw on SportsCenter an hour later. I'm like, hey, the Seahawks missed a field goal at the end too, and that's when it suddenly hit me. Oh my God, they tied. The thing that I thought couldn't possibly happen happened.
It's your worst gambling story ever?
It's the worst gambling loss ever to literally bet a game down to a half. If I'd just taken the money line, 135, and then I'd have pushed. They tied. I don't lose.
That's right, it's true.
I would have pushed. I would have believe me, the way after going 0-6 in your 7th game, you take a push. But as it happens,
next time
I went 0-7.
Just wait till Monday Night Football.
0-7.
Just wait till Monday Night Football, or even better, because I know you're going to bet on it. The Jaguars and the Titans play Thursday, and you'll be the only man in the universe.
Well, you know what happens? You can see the ads there on the NFL Network and CBS, where they're like, next Thursday, Jaguars, Titans, or as America likes to refer to it as, date night.
All right.
Honey, you know what? Let's go out Thursday. You know what? I'm good. That Thursday, I want to talk to you.
No, this is a perfect opportunity for every time your woman has been upset with you always sitting in the house and watching football all day. Be like, you know what, babes?
No,
Just something that really makes me want to just see you.
Let's just connect. Let's just talk.
And she'd be like, oh my God, it's day.
I don't care about football.
The Turk. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Everyone gets on the Chargers all the time because they deserve to be piled upon because they like to lose games in the last minute. In fact, I believe even a coach said last week, we found a new way or I can't believe it, but seeing is believing, one of those types of terms where you wouldn't believe it until we do it and leave it to us to do it. They finally figured it out. The Chargers have to come out, lay an egg at the beginning of the game and then come back and allow the other team to pull, ironically, a Chargers. And let them back into the game. And this is we just mentioned the overtime game in your worst gambling story ever. The other, I believe, only other overtime game of Sunday was the Chargers on the road against the Falcons. And
Yep.
we also already know that the Chargers never play on the road. I want you to think about it. I told Jank this years ago. The Chargers are never on the road. Every time you watch the Chargers,
You mean
it's
so
sunshine.
they have like 11 or 12 of their
They're
16
always at
games
home.
in San Diego.
They're always in San Diego.
So
They never
scheduling
leave
quirk
San
not many
Diego.
people know about.
You just kind of think about it. They're never anywhere else. But now, since they were in a dome, you're like, oh wait, the Chargers are on the road. Anyway, they won the game 33-30. Not last minute, but overtime field goal to seal it. The Chargers pull it off. So they were down 27-17 in the second quarter. They gave up 21 points just in the second quarter to the Falcons. They run all over them, which also the Falcons, a little bit of head nod. They were wearing a little bit of the semi-throwbacks. I enjoyed those uniforms yesterday. But then they blanked them in the third quarter.
It was
3 points in the
It
fourth.
was 27-10 in the second quarter,
yeah,
right?
they were kicking their ass.
After that, you did 23-3 Chargers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then they end up winning 33-30. The key has been revealed. The Chargers just lay an egg at the beginning of the game
And then back.
save all the energy for the end, which, by the way, they should have won anyway when Antonio Gates dropped an easy touchdown pass, which shouldn't even have gone to overtime. And Phillip Rivers was.
I bet on the.
emphatically
I was
upset
going to
about
bet the Chargers, and this is why this was terrible gambling day. All week, I'm going to bet the Chargers because it's 6.5, and every game they play is close, and
Yeah.
and they're a high-powered offense. They can keep up with the Falcons, 6.5, and then because I'm already losing at that point, when I see the game, by the time I want to bet it, I'm stupid. I should have bet it. It's 4.5, and I'm like, oh, now the value's on the Falcons, so I bet the Falcons. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's interesting because you say every game with the Chargers is close. Do you know what team actually is every single game has been decided by 7 or fewer points this season?
The Chargers, right?
The Detroit Lions.
Well, the Chargers have had 6
What do I
of
call the Lions?
The Chargers have had 6 of the 7 decided by, I think, fewer than that even, except for one when they blew out the Jaguars.
If I have the numbers correctly, I believe the Lions are 12 points total away from being like 0-7.
Or 7-0.
While also being
Like
7-0.
16 points away from
right,
7-0.
It's like some magical
So that's
number.
the thing. No, like Dan can vouch for me. I said it maybe last week or a week or two ago. I said all the Lions they're the East Coast Chargers. They're
Yeah,
the same
that's a good
team.
line.
They do the
That's a
same
good
thing.
line.
They're East Coast Chargers.
they are.
They're not even the coast, but
No, it's all right. Eastern time zone.
Eastern time zone Chargers. So the Chargers, by the way, second in offense with points scored. Also fifth from the bottom in defense.
Matthew
It's
Stafford
amazing.
made his 100th start, I believe, in the NFL
Yes,
yesterday.
they talked about that, yeah.
And he has had 24 tying or game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. That's a lot.
He's also got like
That's
a
every
40
fourth game. We all hate him, right? But I'm not sure it's totally justified.
Well, he also is he has like 40 touchdowns and only like 7-8 interceptions since the backwards of like week 10 of last season. Like he's had a good run for the last calendar year.
They're the exact same team without Calvin Johnson. Like,
Well, that's
nothing's
what's
really
that's
changed.
what's well, Marvin Jones Jr. comes up and he's the new go-to target, and you know,
I know, but he's not. I just mean it's like it doesn't. It's weird that it doesn't.
you would think
They're,
you'd see a
they're neither
difference.
better nor worse. You know?
They're still the Lions, though.
Yeah.
They'll still showcase all the Lions as things on Thanksgiving Day, which is actually not too far away.
When do the Lions play the Chargers? Like
Has
that,
it ever happened?
That would be a great.
I feel like it would be a
ever
game where it
happened in the
ends
history of football?
6-6.
It's hard to. No, it's. I was going to say it's hard to believe that Seahawks Cardinal game wasn't Lions and Chargers.
That's exactly
hitting
right.
the upright, dropping the snap. I mean, it would be 28. It would be 29-29. But there'd have been picks and fumbles and guys. You know, somebody would have spiked the ball at the half-yard line. You know.
All right, let's go back to the Seahawks and Chargers game because I don't think people are fully understanding how truly dominant the Seahawks defense has been. Now, last night was not.
Cardinals was better.
The Cardinals was better, but not this season. They haven't been better. The Cardinals, their game plans have been busted and have seen in prime time in week 3, week 5. They've looked bad at times. The Seahawks defense has consistently looked nothing short of great, especially in the red zone. They've allowed eight opponent touchdowns this season. They are allowing fewer yards per game than they did in 2013, which is the amazing Seahawks defense. They're 4-1-1, and the thing I was talking about with our AP Dan before the show, if they had an offensive line, they would be far and away the best team in football.
Yeah, and
because they can't protect Russell Wilson, and the scary thing is this is a team who, not too dissimilar from last year's Broncos, who had trouble at times moving the ball because Peyton Manning had a noodle for an arm at that point in his career. Not to underestimate how good he is at changing the play at the line of scrimmage. You can't really take into account how important that was. If the Seahawks find something that works offensively, they are the best team in the NFC.
I agree, but that's a big if. But they need to, because the Broncos had two. For all the love that that Doug Baldwin gets on TYT Sports from Seahawks fans, they don't have, and he's better than I gave him credit for. He's a good NFL receiver.
He's not Demaryius Thomas.
He's not Demaryius Thomas. He's not Emmanuel Sanders. No. And so those guys are game-breaking players, and the Broncos ran the ball.
C.J. Anderson works this year.
Ran the ball. So the Seahawks can't run the ball, and they don't have that kind of dynamic talent. That said, Russell Wilson is significantly better than Peyton Manning last year.
Yes.
So I agree, because that tie was basically a win for the Seahawks, because it left them.
They're on top of the division, right?
It left them 2 games ahead. I mean, they would have been 3 ahead with a win, but to them, in Arizona, to get a tie, that was much more damaging to the Cardinals, who would have pulled to 4-3 with the Seahawks at 4-2 if Cannizzaro hits the. Did they take that delay game penalty on purpose to move the ball away from the inch line?
No, I feel like it was just more of a different level of incompetence that they were continuing to perpetuate.
Why didn't they put the ball in the middle of the field either? Like, why when you're about to kick an extra point, do you not kick it from where an extra point was kicked from? It was 3rd down, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, they did on 3rd down.
It was 3rd down. Yeah. So, I mean, at the very least, Palmer could have just backpedaled to the 2-yard line and taken a knee. And then, it's 4th down, but it's an extra point, an old school extra point. He wouldn't have missed it if he'd been right in the middle of the field, right? Because all he did was kick it straight into the upright.
I can't see he wouldn't have missed it. I mean, also, Wagner...
No, I just mean based on that kick didn't move enough to miss from the middle of the field that close. That literal kick did not move enough.
You're talking about the Wagner play, too.
Wagner
By
twice.
the way, Arians had it wrong. The rule doesn't state that you can't touch a player when you jump the line of scrimmage. That's what they always tell us.
That's
what they say. The rule states running forward and leaping in an obvious attempt to block a field goal or try kick and landing on players. So he grazed his back with his foot on his way up. If we're going to get so specific with the rules as it is.
So they made the right call each time.
They made the right call, but Arians wasn't mad at them for that. They weren't talking to him on the sideline about that play, Wagner hitting the long snapper or the snapper in that situation. They were discussing with Arians that he's like, no, I think it was an illegal formation. You can't be within like a foot of the long snapper before. And Arians is like, no, he touched the player. You can't touch the player. And they're going, but sir, the formation might have been illegal. Let's take a look at that first.
And then
he got penalized for throwing the challenge flag. He got a timeout taken.
It definitely has to get figured out, because if I'm anyone else on a special teams defense about to block a field goal, I'm going to start practicing before next week is jumping the hell over that asshole.
Yeah, that works.
And
We've seen
getting
it
to
work.
the kick.
Oh, yeah.
And if they touch me, you just let Wagner get away with it 2 times last week. Because the second time, I don't know if it was necessarily the center or if it was one of the tackles, put his arm up. And he hit his arm because that was initiated by the Cardinals player, so therefore he was allowed to do it that time. So I don't know, man.
I think college has the rule right. If you're going to have the rule in college, I think, and people will correct me if I'm wrong, college, it's just leaping. You can't leap. You can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't jump.
You can't do it at all, right?
And if you're really worried about injury to that guy, because you expose yourself when you're up in the air like that, if the center stands up, obviously.
Besides, if you could in college, Jim Harbaugh would be sending 4 guys to jump over the line every single week.
Well, this gets to my Turk of the Week, so let's just do that real quick. Kelsey McRae, the Seahawks safety, that, again, there's just a tendency, I got it, these are professional football players, you have a chance to make a tackle, you make a tackle, so I don't want to make it seem like he did something amazingly heroic. But nonetheless, when the pass is completed, and a guy who we're told is, didn't they keep saying he was like the fastest guy in the NFL, Nelson? And he ran him down and caught him. I mean, Nelson never got a full head of steam because of the awkward way he leapt up in the air and then came down. Was like, oh, wow, I'm not down. I can run. It was a big completion. It was 3rd and 7, and that was even if he'd been tackled at the spot where he made the catch, they were in field. Well, it turns out there is no field goal range there in Arizona. It seemed like they were in field goal range. But he turns and it looked like he was going to score, and if he's that fast, you would have liked to see him maybe pull those feet in and high step it a little to try and avoid getting tripped up from behind. But you still figured that game was over. But it just shows you, play it out, man. You never know what happens. So, and Kelsey McRae has, oddly enough, in his brief NFL career, has been traded twice in a league where there are like no trades.
Right.
He was traded from Tampa to Kansas City and from Kansas City to Seattle.
So he'll reunite with Sam Bradford at some point, the other guy who's been traded more than once.
That's right. Well, quarterback's a little different. But yes, but a guy that young, it's just weird. Anyway, but you're right, Sam Bradford has. But just play it out. And he made that play, and then they missed the field goal, and the tie that Seattle ended up getting, huge for them, huge. Believe me, Seattle felt great in the locker room yesterday, and the Cardinals were despondent.
I'm sure. Bruce Arians needs the wins as he can get because, again, they're inconsistent this year. We wonder what's going to happen going forward. That's it for our Turks. Come back for Jerks in just a moment.